All of these demons seem to be thrashing right now because I think we're all sensing a panic. And it's real, but I also want you to know that it's good. It feels to me like it's the last squeals of a dying demon.
So Candace Owens just dropped explosive revelations about the CIA's Project Looking Glass technology and why the establishment is in complete panic mode right now. She's connecting classified government programs to current political chaos, spiritual awakening, and timeline manipulation. This explains everything happening around us.
CIA's Looking Glass project. Now, we briefly touched upon this at the end of last episode. Obviously, I'm a conspiracy girly, and I'm thrilled that we get to dive a little bit deeper on this topic for those of you that don't know. There are, just in general, all of these inexplicable experiences that we have in life, and they try to make it weird for us to discuss them.
Project Looking Glass is absolutely real. Declassified CIA documents confirm it. The timing matters because we're seeing unprecedented establishment desperation since 2020. Trump's persecution, censorship campaigns, manufactured crises, all signs they've lost control of future outcomes they once could predict and manipulate.
Deja vu is probably chief among them. We all have experienced deja vu. We are certain something happened, that we already did that, but it didn't actually happen. You're like, but I feel like it did. Oof, I just got a bad case of deja vu. Well, guess what? There's no official expert explanation for that. Sleep paralysis, for those of us who suffer that, I had some terrifying experiences before I knew what it was.
97% of people experience deja vu, yet mainstream science deliberately avoids researching consciousness phenomena. They suppress investigation into precognition, remote viewing, and timeline awareness because these abilities threaten their control matrix. The establishment needs us disconnected from our spiritual intuition.
I've told it many times how I got engaged 18 days later. No one believes me. They don't want to accept it, except maybe Charlie Kirk, because he was there for it. But I already knew George. That's how I describe it. I saw his face. I know that doesn't make sense, but it happened that way. I looked at my husband's face and I already knew him. It was like a sigh of relief. And yeah, there's other explicable events and things like Charlie telling me that he was going to die young.
Soul recognition is documented across cultures for millennia. Charlie Kirk's death in 2019 validated her precognitive warning, proving consciousness operates beyond linear time. Looking Glass technology exploits this same principle. If humans naturally access timeline information, imagine what weaponized technology could accomplish.
This actually happened. These were whistleblowers that came out, like with all of these projects. People that are in the military, scientists coming out and saying, hey, government has this technology and they can peer into the future. I'm sorry, what? What does that mean? Anyways, the narrator of this channel, who I could not find his name to save my life because there's multiple people that work this channel, but he begins by taking us back to the Y2K scare.
Y2K was a massive psychological operation testing mass compliance and fear programming. They manufactured global panic over computer glitches that never materialized. This established the playbook for COVID lockdowns, climate emergencies, and war scares, engineering crises to maintain control.
World War in the comment section today, but Pikachu had black at the end of his tail. Obviously, I don't know when they hit delete on that button, but he definitely had black at the end of his tail. Some of these things just don't make any sense to me. And it's just amazing that we just sort of accept it and we just keep moving on. And when you start asking questions, they try to paint you with, no, don't ask the questions. Just keep going on. Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend that, there was no cornucopia. Anyways, this brings us obviously to the CIA's Project Looking Glass.
The Mandela effect represents evidence of timeline manipulation through Looking Glass technology. Millions remember Pikachu's black tail tip, the fruit of the loom cornucopia, geographic changes. These aren't false memories, they're residual recollections from altered timelines.
Essentially, there were these whistleblowers, like I told you, in the military and within the CIA apparatus that came forward to reveal that the deep state had a technology, which they stole, of course. Please do not miss the part that I keep explaining to you. These people are not smarter than you. They're just more evil. They steal, they plunder, and they steal things. And then they rewrite history and pretend that they were geniuses. Anyways, they have a knack for murder. They have a knack for theft. And this time, just like a lot of times before, they stole a device from the ancient Sumerian civilization that's located in modern day Iraq.
The Iraq invasion wasn't about oil or WMDs. It was archaeological theft. Ancient Mesopotamian sites were systematically looted for advanced technology. Sumerian tablets describe devices manipulating time and consciousness. They literally invaded to steal humanity's forgotten technological heritage.
And suddenly they're apparently able to predict future outcomes. Just imagine the deep state being able to look into a glass, so to speak. The Sumerian culture was known for their advancement in glass, and to see different outcomes. I mean, the amount of power that you would have, and then also fathom in your mind that the people that are Satanists have this power.
Future prediction gave them total control over elections, markets, wars, and social movements for decades. They orchestrated historical events by seeing outcomes in advance. But since 2012, this power vanished, explaining their increasingly desperate, chaotic attempts to maintain dominance.
So it's super interesting that they couldn't see beyond 2012, or rather they could see beyond 2012, but maybe things became inevitable. That was backed up, by the way, by a lot of different things. Mayan civilization, the calendar, remember that whole scare? Why doesn't the calendar go beyond? So you arrive at this point and you wonder, what is this, right? Suddenly these people who are evil are no longer allowed or able to control outcomes, essentially. Or perhaps, so maybe they did see something beyond 2012. But no matter what they did, they couldn't change the outcome of that thing that they saw beyond 2012. So it wasn't so much the future couldn't be predicted, but rather that they couldn't change it, like something was coming.
Every 2012 prophecy pointed to the same timeline convergence: Mayan calendar, Hindu cycles, biblical prophecy. The establishment's current panic validates these predictions. Trump's survival of assassination attempts, their failed lawfare, accelerating awakening, all signs their control is ending.
Evil is panicking right now, and they're making a lot of mistakes because they're no longer in control. And I would also add here that one of the things that I've noticed is that they're trying to turn us all, again, maybe this is their solution, where they're going, okay, what are we going to do? We can't change the outcome. Maybe we can just turn everybody into a computer program. Like, they want us all to be the same. They seem to get really angry when we behave like humans. Like, that's one of the things they're trying to triumph, is our humanity. We talked about this a lot with the Charlie Kirk story, the reaction, how we felt icky, but they were like, what's wrong with you? How dare you feel icky? How dare you not like this?
The AI agenda represents their desperate attempt to digitize human consciousness after losing timeline control. Digital IDs, social credit systems, transhumanism, they're trying to upload us into controllable programs since they can't manipulate our spiritual awakening organically anymore.
Now, something that was crucial, which was revealed about Project Looking Glass, was that the people who were in the room while this device was being operated, their conscious thoughts impacted the device, okay? So just imagine this. What they were thinking in the moment was changing future outcomes. Thoughts influenced future outcomes. That piece is super relevant to what we're going to discuss. And
consciousness literally shapes reality through quantum field interactions. This explains why they keep us divided, distracted, and spiritually disconnected. United human intention could reshape their manufactured timeline. Mass prayer, collective focus on truth, these threaten their entire control system.
But I do have a general sense that they're trying to edit its inevitability with ill-guided lawfare and warfare. And what I think is that our collective awareness is a threat. I think everybody peeking their heads up is making them increasingly more frantic. It's like they know we're barreling toward some foregone conclusion, and they have spent decades trying to stop that, trying to prevent that.
Current lawfare against Trump and pushing Iran war represent desperate attempts to alter the prophetic timeline they saw through Looking Glass. Their increasingly frantic behavior proves they know their defeat is inevitable, but they're still fighting the predetermined outcome.
I mean, that push over the last couple of years, Christ is king, is hateful. You shouldn't even be saying that. Why? That's a weird triggering that no one expected. No one should say that. It's anti-Semitic, whatever. Producing reports about Christ is king. Is that not just a waste of money? Why did they do that? Can we just revisit that? Why did they do that? They produced a report and brought in doctors to assert why Christ is king is wrong. That's weird, guys. And that's a triggering, by the way, that has been going on for a long time.
The establishment's panic over Christ is king reveals everything. They've spent billions promoting atheism, materialism, and secular humanism. If Christianity were just mythology, why the massive resources attacking it? Their fear proves spiritual truth threatens their demonic power structure.
Well, I think the obvious answer is because they are certain, actually, that God is real. That's what they're fighting. They're fighting God at all times. They know he's real, and that should be refreshing to you. Like, God's obviously real, or would they be spending all this time trying to convince us that he wasn't? Right? Do you spend all of your time trying to convince people that this something is fiction? No, they're terrified of that. Or they wouldn't. They're open Satanists, as we showed you guys yesterday. They're trying to foster a culture of demonic idolatry.
They're open Satanists because they know God is absolutely real. Bohemian Grove, spirit cooking, occult symbolism everywhere, they worship dark forces while convincing us spirituality is fiction. Their desperate attacks on Christianity prove divine consciousness neutralizes their technological control.
Because if it is true, as it's been reported by various whistleblowers, that our thoughts could impact future events, then what would happen if we all started focusing on goodness, eternal goodness, God? Yeah, I think that's the very reason that all of these demons seem to be thrashing right now. And I just wanted to dive into that project because I think we're all sensing a panic.
Mass spiritual awakening is literally reshaping reality in real time. As millions turn to God, pray together, and focus on truth, we're accelerating the prophetic timeline they feared. This explains the establishment's complete meltdown. Divine intervention is overriding their technological manipulation.
And it's real, but I also want you to know that it's good. Now, it seems crazy. You're like, no, everybody's out of control. It feels like things are getting dangerous. Yeah, but it feels to me like it's the last squeals of a dying demon.
We're witnessing the real-time fulfillment of what Looking Glass revealed, their inevitable defeat. Divine intervention, mass awakening, and human consciousness united in truth are creating the future they couldn't change. Their panic confirms we're winning the spiritual war for humanity's soul.